Okay, most of you, some of you studied JavaScript, some of you didn't. And let's go ahead and get started with JavaScript. You guys already are familiar with code sandbox. Go ahead and please log into your code sandbox profile. For free code camp, I really like using free code camp for learning JavaScript, because here, first of all, it is 100% free. Second of all, you can actually work on different projects. And at the end, you will build towards the end, like before you get certification, you will build a project using JavaScript. And this will be a very high level recap, because once we have finished CSS this Friday, from next week, we're supposed to continue with JavaScript, and then the knowledge that we have in both JavaScript and CSS and HTML will be used to build the website. And from that website, we will create an actual project, an actual working project. I'm going to go ahead and create another folder here. This is just for me. You don't have to do that. JavaScript. And within this JavaScript. So usually with Java, we have been using IDE called IntelliJ. Yeah, you remember IntelliJ? Andrew, remember IntelliJ or Eclipse,
Yes,
NetBeans? Yeah, those are integrated development environment, meaning you can actually write code and execute it because it has the compiler in it. It's a full SDK, software development kit. And JDK is the Java development kit, and they run on the actual IDE, which is integrated development environment. Basically, it runs Java server on the actual machine. But with JavaScript, we don't have that. We cannot just, for example, open Visual Studio Code. Yeah. Somewhere here we can choose, for example, right now I'm just choosing the plain text, but here I can use JavaScript. Yes, I can choose this. But if I just write here, let age equals 9, console.log, for example, 9, and where do I run it? Yeah, I could click this, but run and debug. Okay, then what happens, Like you need
the screen, or I just don't see
see
it.
my screen?
No, I don't. Maybe and
You
did you
can
see
see
the
it, right?
screen?
yeah, I can.
Oh, okay, that's I think I have some problem. Okay, no.
Okay, here, let me stop and reshare again. Now can you see can you see me? Let me turn off my video, maybe that's blocking. You can see the Zoom though, right, Nurgulia?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna reshare.
Yeah, now it's good. Thank you.
It's good. Okay, cool. So let me hide this phone. So in IntelliJ, you can actually directly click on run and execute this code. But in JavaScript, so JavaScript doesn't have a compile time or compilation process. JavaScript, it's a scripting language. It's a very light, and people say fast, but it shouldn't really matter, because like even though that it is running without compiling the code, the code should still get processed. So I wouldn't say it's fast, but it's light. That's the difference between the scripting language and the actual object-oriented programming language. JavaScript does support object-oriented programming language, but it doesn't actually have its own server to run the code. And to run the JavaScript code, to execute it, you need Node server, which is called Node.js. And Node.js is the server that hosts, for example, the browser. Even the web browsers are hosted on Node.js. They run on top of Node.js. Therefore, JavaScript code can be executed with Node.js. Now, most of the time during interviews, they ask you, why do you prefer Cypress or why do you prefer Playwright? And the answer is like, because Cypress runs faster, since both the Cypress and the browser run on Node.js server, it doesn't need an actual, for example, like a driver. In Selenium, we need to create a web driver, and then driver equals new Chrome driver, right? And then once we have this, but before you run that, you need to actually have this Chrome driver installed on your local machine or on the server that you are actually executing this code. Or instead of this, for example, you can have Firefox driver, right? Or was it Gecko driver, right? Something like that. And then you would have, for example, Edge driver. Like you would need different instances of drivers in order to actually run the code. And these drivers need to be actually installed on your device. But with JavaScript, you don't need all of these devices, especially when it comes to, for example, Cypress. You don't need any of that because Cypress can be fully integrated with browser server, which is Node.js. They run on the same server, so it doesn't need any third-party driver to interact with the browser elements, or DOM, which you covered yesterday, right? Document object model, the DOM structure. That's high level about the information about JavaScript. And so for those reasons, we could, however, run the JavaScript code in here. For example, let me show you something here. I'm going to create a new file or folder. On here, and JavaScript. Go in here. Okay, that's good. And open. We're gonna go to desktop and TextState Academy. Where is it? Where is it? Right here. We boost. We go to JavaScript. We open this, and I'm gonna create a new file here. Script.js. Create a file, and in here I'm gonna add another file, index.js, and then, oh no, not index. It is going to be renamed to index.html, right? Paste the HTML, and we can have style.css. So in the HTML, where I'm going to have an actual structure of the website. And here I'm gonna have the link for the CSS. For now, let's forget about this script.js. We're going to strictly work inside. I'm going to create here H2, says, welcome to TextState Academy. All right, let's go ahead and execute and open this in the live server. Okay, so our code is HTML website, official website's up and running. And inside the body tag, we can also have script tag. Script, okay. And this is where we actually, as you can see, JavaScript code goes here, okay? This is where we can actually start writing some JavaScript code and to get it interact with, for example, our the HTML element. And if I do tab here, it has already created. So I'm just gonna use let for now and save this and watch what happens. Welcome to TechState Academy. We see an alert pop up here and I can close it. Refresh again. Welcome to TechState Academy. And now, as you can see, the actual JavaScript code is popping up on my web page. Another place we can run the JavaScript code is we can open the inspector and we can go to the console. And this can be our playground. So I'm gonna bring this down. We all know how to bring this, open it on different parts. Here, let me change the background for my HTML so that style.css, the body background color is going to be, let's do black, and H2 text color is going to be white. Save it. There you go. It's one good looking web page, right? Now I'm gonna open the inspector tool here. We all know how to open the inspector. I think you guys are expert at this. And clicking here, I'm gonna bring it down. There we go, so that I can actually write the code and you can see. Now, this is okay. I'm just gonna open the console here in a full page, okay? And I'm gonna zoom in here. So an actual JavaScript code can also be executed using the console tab, okay? And console tab can directly interact with the web page as well. Here from this part of our dev tools or inspector tools, we can actually interact with our web page. Now, in JavaScript, let me do the first introduction. We all know what variables are. Variables are basically a temporary storage for us to save some data. Now, let's say let name or first name, if you will, right? This is camel case naming convention and equals, I'm gonna say Nora. I guess we have Nora. Yesterday I found out we have Nora. Enter. Okay, now I just created a variable, and this in JavaScript, we create our variables in 3 different ways. I will talk about them, but for now, think of it as a string. Let first name equals Nora. Okay, now let's do a console. In Java, we use system out println like this, right? System dot out dot print or println, which will print in a new line. And then here I would put here first name, and this would actually print Nora's name. In JavaScript, we use console.log. So basically it says log this information to the console. As you can see, this is a console tab. I'm going to write here first name. As you can see, now browser actually recognizes my variable that I created. See, it's showing up as first name. I'm gonna select that. And if I hit enter, there you go. Now we can see Nora, right? So let's do console.log again. And Now, about being able to run this JavaScript code on the console, I mentioned earlier that both the Cypress and Playwright and the actual browser, they all run on Node server. Since Node.js is the server which is hosting both the browser and JavaScript, then we should be able to write our code and execute and run it here, because this is going to be our playground to serve the code that we write. So I'm going to put here as welcome to what? Utopia. And I'm going to put here plus, or in JavaScript, we can also do this, by the way. First name. No, let me do it up here. First name, enter. It says, welcome to Utopia, Nora. Pretty cool, right? Okay. We're gonna actually start from here. Now, that was an introduction to be able to run your code from different environments. First, one of the environments is you can write your code directly inside the body of an HTML code, which will then print everything you need from this console here or on the actual web page. I mean, on the actual web page. And secondly, you can use this console tab on a browser. Since it's hosted on Node.js server, you can write your code and execute them here. But for now, we're just going to continue to cover the logic of coding using Code Sandbox. And again, here, it has already created Node.js server for us to be able to run our code. I'm going to go ahead and click on this create, and I'm going to say JavaScript. I say variables JS. And yes. Put it here, you mean? Put it inside the script? Yeah, JavaScript code goes inside the script tag, by the way. We will cover this in more details. And later on, we will actually be using not this, but this part right here. See, script.js. I don't want to go into that right now because I don't want to take the actual JavaScript coding and have you guys confused with the HTML part, because we will use the script.js just like the style.js. See, we are able to do all the styling from style.css, right? Which will affect the actual DOM, like the visual part of our HTML code. But we write it on a separate file. Same thing, we will be writing all the JavaScript related code to manipulate the UI of our web page using the script.js file. And for now, we're gonna just work from here. As you can see, the code is actually being run from here, and they have index.mjs. This can be renamed to just JS, and I would need to update the same here relative to index.js source. Did they import anything here? No. Import anything here? Okay, no. And in here, let me change it to JSX. Why it doesn't want to work? We have JS and JSX files usually, and JSX stands for JavaScript executable. Like when you execute the code, it should have read this. Let me think just a second. Index and JSX. Let me change it to script. And here also script. And instead of JSX, I will just put JS and change this to just JS. And we can go. Oh, it won't let me. Okay, that's fine. And the tools console was cleared already. But I open a new tab. Um, uh, console, it's having a hard time creating Node.js for us without less than 2 seconds. Okay. Good. Um, Next.js. Okay. All right. So just like in IntelliJ, let's go ahead and use this. Now, you don't have to create anything. When we practice, we're going to create it together. I'm just going to run the code on Node.js server for now, which has the automatic integrated development environment where we can actually execute our code. Don't worry about this part as well. We're going to talk about that. See if I can bring this up to the side clear. Can I bring this to the side? That's okay. Okay. In JavaScript, we have three different variable types. Variables. Okay. We use either a keyword called var or let or const. And these are three different variable types. What's the difference? Var is something that was used, that has been used with JavaScript for a very, very, very long time. Var it doesn't have any limitations. There's a term called hoisting, which means like in Java, you would have to, for example, create integer num1 equals 5. Yeah, or integer n equals 5. Oops. And then that would be the integer variable. And you could create string name equals John, and that would be string. And you cannot use it. For example, if I have some code up before I actually created those variables, and I say system.out.println, and I say here name. So I cannot use this name variable before I actually create it. See on the line above, right? Let me clear that. I would have to first create and then use that variable. With var keyword in JavaScript, it doesn't care. It has a hoisting term where you could create anywhere within the file, and all the code would get scanned or run at the same time. So therefore, var wouldn't care if the variable has been created or not yet. It would go and find it first, the variable that you have created, and then execute the code. Hoisting in JavaScript. Declaration variables. Okay, in JavaScript, hoisting is a mechanism where variable and function declarations are moved to the top of their scope before code execution. This means that you can use a variable before it's declared in your code. For example, for variables declaration, when you declare a variable using var, the declaration is hoisted to the top of its scope. Basically, it automatically goes to the top of the page, but the assignment is not. This means that the variable exists, but its value is undefined until the assignment, the actual assignment part happens. So for example, here, we are trying to print out console.log x, and even though the variable is actually created and assigned on the next line, the console, when the output happens, it prints undefined. And when you actually assign a value to it on the next line, it's printing its value. But the var declaration is hoisted to the top of the scope, so the variable x exists. It exists in the code, meaning like JavaScript or the node server recognizes it and assigns undefined value to it, even before the assignment. However, the assignment x is equal to 5 is not hoisted, so the value of x is undefined until the line of code is executed. And the other two parts of the variables, two different types of variables, are let and const. Nowadays in JavaScript code, even from our development code, I don't see anyone using var. All the new JavaScript applications or Node.js, they are using let and const. What is the difference? Let is basically something that can be assigned. So the hoisting works differently with let and const. While the declarations are still hoisted, they are not initialized with undefined. So what happens is attempting to access these variables before their assignment will result in reference error, meaning this has not been referenced. You have to actually create it and then try to access those code. The variables. While hoisting can be useful in some cases, it can also lead to confusing code. Not only confusing code, but it actually breaks the code. It's generally considered to be best practice to declare variables at the top of their scope to avoid any kind of unexpected errors. Just because there's var, let, and const. Let's talk about let very quickly so that I can explain the data types that we can assign. Let, we can store in let basically any data type that we have seen in JavaScript. What are they? Number, string, float, Boolean, double. What are object? What were the other data types? Long, short. I think that's it, right? Int, obviously. Int is the number here, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. So let, and that would apply to the same thing with const. Okay. Let me do this, and I'm just gonna change this to const. So const and let can store the same data types. The only difference is that this let can be reassigned. Basically, value can be updated. On the other hand, const cannot be reassigned. What does reassign mean, Andrew?
Like the value can be changed.
Yeah. Right. If I create some kind of a variable with certain data, then later on I can change the assigned value to it. Okay. So as you can see, in Java, we have int, float, string, boolean, double, long, short, etc. But in JavaScript, we only have two. So you can forget about var. This has been used back in the day. Nowadays, they don't use it. So let and const. The only difference between these two is that let can be reassigned, const cannot be reassigned. Okay, let's see a practice. Let first name equals Nora. Let's start with that. And I'm gonna create, so this right now is storing the first name, right? Which is a string. Let age equals 21. So now that stores the age. What else? Let, for example, what can we store? Is working, is employed. Nora is employed. What kind of value can I store?
You asking me?
Yeah.
Oh,
You are
I'm
Nora.
Nora. Okay. A string, I guess. You're asking me which company?
Is employed. Are you employed?
Oh, yes or no, like Boolean? False. Okay.
Yeah, false. So is employed false for you right now? But if it was for Janar, yes. I'm just kidding. Too good of jokes. I'm just kidding. All right. So as you can see, I'm able to store a string using let. I'm able to store uh, an integer, I mean a number using let, and I'm able to store Boolean using let, right? The data types. Okay, now how can I use them? For example, to console.log, and I can say, I'm gonna create another string using all this data. Let info, I'm just gonna put info, first name, plus first name, okay? And then plus here, we're gonna have on a new line, we're gonna put age, and is employed, and is employed. Okay, now let me go ahead and print that info. So here, of course, we'll cover a couple of things here together. First of all, first name, this is a variable for a string. This is integer and this is Boolean. And here I am using all of that information and creating what? One string, right? In the string, what was this operation called again? When you were adding multiple strings? Concatenation, right? Yeah. Nora, do you remember this part? String concatenation?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. So string concatenation means, let me just go ahead and print this part. Okay, as you can see, first name Nora. So this string in programming, we use this double quote. And anything that goes inside the double quotes will be considered part of the string. And it can have more than one, what do you call, more than one word in it, right? Nora Jackson, for example. So this together, two of them are basically one string, two words. And false or Boolean values can only have true or false. Now, for, let's say, for example, let temperature equals 98.6. This would be a double or float that we can use it with. And as you can see, I can still use let to store this value. So all of these four are different data types of variables. And this would be concatenation. Now, if I was to, for example, have add sum equals 25 plus 45, this would be mathematical operation, which would be I'm adding two numbers, 25 plus 45 is going to be 70, and I'm storing that 70 inside this sum variable. But when I'm adding two strings, basically this first part is string, and this is a variable, but it's also holding a string value. So this is called string concatenation. String concatenation, okay? And here, as you can see, I concatenated two strings and stored them in a variable called info, and I'm printing that out here. In JavaScript, we use console.log to print the output into the console. Good. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and also print now console.log and put here sum. And I could type here, for example, sum is, oops. We're gonna talk about this part also. Come on, there you go. Sum is 70. Yeah, this is the output part. Now, in Java, just to make sure that you guys understand, system.out.print, and inside of here, for example, I would put sum is, and then go like this and space, and then plus, and then put the variable name sum, right? So in JavaScript, we could do either way. I could put here that, and let me save it so it runs. As you can see, the output right now, it is the whole thing is converted to a string. Okay, meaning it has a string, but sum, what is the data type of sum?
Integer.
Yeah, it's integer, right? Because we're adding two integers and saving the result into a to an integer variable. But it is saving everything as a string, because if in the console the first part is a string and we are doing a concatenation, anything that comes after the plus, it will be treated as a string. So this sum variable automatically gets converted to a string and becomes part of this string. And so for, I mean, because of that, when I print it out, as you can see, this is a string. And now look at this. If I remove this and put here comma and then print it out, watch what happens. There you go. See, it's treating this as if it was a as if it is an integer. Basically, it's getting the value of the variable called sum. Now, here's another thing. If I put here another plus and then put 10, the output should be 80, right? As you can see, now it's putting it as 80. But if I didn't put it as with the comma separation, and when I print it, see, it's treating them as a string, 70 and 10. So sum has 70 value in it, and we have 10, so they become 70 and 10. Because of this concatenation, and the code actually gets executed from left to right, since the leading for this console log is starting with a string. Anything that comes after it will get automatically concatenated, meaning first converted to string and then does the concatenation. That's why we're not seeing it, the result as 80. How can I fix it? I could wrap it with parentheses and then save it. Now see, it did the arithmetic operation first, added these two numbers in mathematical operation, and then concatenated it to the string. So it becomes sum is 80. But if I am using comma here, that means I'm referencing. See, I'm referencing to these as if they are a variable, which is an integer. Any questions so far?
No questions.
All right, then let's get back to our lovely if statement. Oh, let me show you what const means very quickly. And then, so here's another thing. So what I'm going to do here is, we have temperature, which is assigned to 98.6. And now I'm gonna reassign that temperature equals temperature plus plus. Do we remember what this means, plus plus, Jenner? Plus plus is called increment, right? Basically, increment the value of the variable by 1. What does it mean? This is what it would look like. Temperature equals temperature plus 1. This is what it means. Temperature equals temperature plus 1. This is called an increment. And now, what I'm gonna do is so it becomes, let me print it out. Console, oh, I think .log. Okay, .log. Yeah, that's the shortcut, but this guy keeps popping up. What if I just type log and this? Okay, shortcut. Remember system out println shortcut in JavaScript, in Java? South, S-O-U-T. Here, just log, and it will create this for you. Let's print out the temperature after. As you can see, the temperature now it's 99.6. It was 98.6. But here we did an increment, right? And now it became 99.6. Okay, let's do another value reassignment. Temperature equals temperature plus equals 10. Andrew, what does this mean? Do you remember this part?
Yeah, it will add plus 10.
To the value of the temperature, right?
Yeah.
So temperature equals temperature plus 10. Literally, this is the, what do we call this? Compound, compound assignment operator, right? Basically, compound assignment operators are a combination of a binary operator and an assignment operator that, yeah, this stuff, the fun stuff. So compound operators for example, plus equals or minus equals, multiply equals, division equals, and etc. X equals, basically x plus equal 1. This means x equals x plus 1, right? And same thing that we're doing here, temperature plus equals 10. That means temperature equals temperature plus 10. So now if I print out the console log and temperature, and I'm just gonna put here, edit 10. Oops, I can remove that. And if I save this, as you can see, now the temperature is 109.6. All right. One second here. I'm texting alternate. That she can still join if he wants to for JavaScript part. Okay, we covered the increment, we covered different data types, and I was able to reassign. So this is called reassign. This is also reassign, by the way, because it basically literally means temperature equals temperature plus 1. Now, let's talk about const. Const is something that cannot be reassigned once it has been initialized. Initialization process means this. I said Nora, let first name equals Nora Jackson. So we declared a variable and we initialized it, meaning assigned a value to it. So this is called initialization, right? So we declared the variable and we assigned the value to it. So the whole thing together, process called initialization. With const, when we initialize a value, let's say const color, it's going to be, favorite color. It's going to be equal to green. And now I say favorite color, it's gonna be equal to black. And I try to console log favorite color, and boom. And I execute this code, boom. Look at this error. It says favorite color is getting reassigned. Assignment to a constant variable. So in Java, we also have a constant. It was public static final was the keywords, I think, right? Public static final in Java. Public static final are keywords used together to define a constant, right? That means once the value has been assigned, this keyword means the variable's value cannot be changed once it has been assigned. Meaning once it's been initialized, we cannot change it. But look at all these words: public, static, final, and 4 different keywords to create a constant. In JavaScript, just one word, const. So now I am not like for a variable that has been initialized, created as const. It's a constant variable. We cannot reassign a value to it. Okay, good. Any questions? Nope. All right, let's continue with if statements now. If else statements are used for logical conditional comparisons. For example, I create let A equals 10 and B equals 5 if A is bigger than B, then console.log print out A is bigger. Oh, A is max. And same thing. Else, we're just gonna type here, else B is max. All right, let's go ahead and run it. As you can see, the output says A is max. Why? Because A is 10, B is 5. So if A is bigger than, let me put another space here. Let me just, not to confuse you guys, okay? So I have two different variables, the A and B, 10 and 5. If A is bigger than B, then console log A is max. Okay, and I can put the curly braces around, curly brackets, like this. And bring up else here. There we go. Okay, now your task is write if else statement, if else, to identify the max number between three numbers. So as an example, you will have A equals 5, B equals 8, C equals 7. And you should print out B, expected output B is max. Let's work on this task. But before that, I will okay. So for this one, we would first need to make sure that like there are three different variables. Yeah, Andrew already sent the solution. I'm just gonna go at it again. If A is bigger than B, right? If this variable A is bigger than B, I cannot say A is max because in order for A to be max, it has to be bigger than both B and C. So I'll have to put here a logical operator here. So B, and A is bigger than C. So I guess we need to talk about AND operator also. AND operator basically means this returns a Boolean, correct? So I'm gonna wrap that inside a parenthesis, and this part also returns a Boolean. In order for, so this is one operation, this is second operation, and this whole thing is third operation. So there are three operations here. One, comparison, two, comparison, and three, logical operator, meaning in order for this whole comparison or operation to evaluate the true, both sides of this AND operator, both sides of them need to evaluate the true. So this has to be true, this has to be true, and then both of them are going to be true because of this operator here. So in order for A to be the max, meaning the biggest number between these three numbers, it has to be bigger than both A and B. So only then I can go ahead and print out console.log and say A is max, right? Or I can simply put here, let max equals, for now, A, and I can just I'll just put here 0 for now. And I say max is equal to A. And else if, this is another thing that we have to make sure to be careful. Else if not A, like if the first condition is incorrect, then consider the second condition, meaning we're gonna now work with B. We try to identify if B is the max. If B is bigger than A and B is bigger than C. And in that case, our max is going to be B. And the last case we have, which is C, if A is not bigger than B and C, if B is not bigger than A and C, then all is left is the max can be C. So we don't have to actually, like else statement does not require condition as the if and else if. Else is independent statement by itself, which doesn't require any conditions, but it has to be always chained with an if. Okay, in that case, I'm just gonna say console.log and ooh, access. In this case, I would just put here A, just put here B, and I just put here C, and I can just put there null for now. So in this case, I would put here max plus, and then is max. And if I save it, what does it say? And see, oh, I did not. Let me comment them out. Oops, Z. I need to comment these out because it's conflicting. And I need to put here let and this. I save it. Now, as you can see, B is max because B is equal to 8 and B is max. So what if I change this to 17? So now it should say C is max, right? Save, yeah, C is max. If I put here 25, A becomes 25, then A is max. There you go, A is max. Any questions on this? Is this how you wrote too, Jenna? One condition? What do you mean? Oh, if A is bigger than B? So that was the trick. That's why I give you guys 3 different variables to work with, you know? It's giving the same result? Oh, okay. Let's take a look during the break time. Cool. Now we are going to talk about this modulus operator, yeah? So what does it return? Do you guys know? Modulus, which is the percentage. Yeah. Remainder, right? But what kind of remainder? For example, if I divide 10 by 7, what's my remainder? Hmm? Remainder is 3, right? Okay. Andrew, if I divide 20 by 14, what's my remainder?
6.
Is that remainder really? It's not remainder, right? If I divide 9 by 4, what's my remainder?
6.
If I divide 9, so for example, I have
9
9
and 4,
by-
then 5.
what's the remainder?
5.
What do you think, Chinar?
You
It's
said
1.
9 to 4, right?
Yeah.
Oh, then
9,
1. Then 1.
because what happens is it takes the maximum part of multiplying the 4 to get closest to 9, but less than 9. So in that case, it will be 8. So basically, the process will be continued as 9 minus 8. It becomes 1. Like there are multiple different steps to get there. Okay. So we know modulus. And modulus plays a very big role. Okay. Another example. 123 modulo 10. What's my remainder? Andrew, what do you think?
3.
3, right? Nora, do you agree?
Yes, I think it's gonna be 3.
Okay, because the maximum number, we can get close to 123, but do not exceed it. With the 10, this is also called greatest common least common multiplier or something like that, right? So we would have to multiply 12 by 10, which would be equal to 120, and therefore we would do 123 minus 120, which would result in 3. Okay. All right. What about 1,528 modulo 100? Sorry? 28, Janar saying. Nora, do you agree?
Yeah,
Why?
because 100
Uh-huh.
with like, yeah, multiply to 15, it's gonna be 100. Oh,
1,500.
yeah, and the reminder is 28.
Yep, 1,528 minus 1,500 will be equal to 28. Great, perfect. Okay, I think you guys are great with modulus. So if I want to identify if a given number is an even or odd, I could definitely use modulus for that purpose, right? If let n equals 12, and then I say if n modulus 2 equals 0. So what does it mean? When I divide n by 2, and if its remainder is equal to 0. So any even number, when you divide it by 2, there's no remainder, correct? So that means if n modulo 2 equals 0, 0, I mean equals to 0, then this is console.log and even. Else log odd. Okay, let's go ahead and run. And it says even, because 12 is an even number. But what if I do 12 plus plus? Oh, it didn't work because I cannot increment this. I can only increment this part, right? Let's go ahead and put 12 plus 1. Let's save. And now it says odd because this converts it to 13. So 13 modulo 2 is not going to be equal to 0. 13 modulo 2 is going to be equal to what? It's going to be equal to 1, right? So therefore, it's going to be odd. Great. Any questions here? JavaScript is easier than Java, so we're going to be going a little bit faster.
When we gonna use this modulus part in real life? Can you give an example? Because I remember we studied it in Java, but I don't remember when I used it.
Yeah, that's fine. You didn't use it?
No.
It worked? So I have not used it, but looks like Janar, she used it at her work for her project, and like to identify even and odd. Mainly, she said something to do with promotions at her work in automation, right? Yeah, but, yeah. But you will. I mean, it's a very common interview question. First of all, yeah. Secondly, it even if you don't use it, doesn't mean that it's not gonna be handy. It will, like, depending on the problem or task that you get assigned, you can always use to solve problems with it. All right, let's take our break. I will see you guys in 15 minutes, okay?
Okay.
I forgot to call. All right, with JavaScript part, we did that. And our next step on the journey, the operation, I want to ask you guys if you know this part, the two pipes, which is called OR operator, right? So for OR operator to execute the true, it's like me using if, for example, A is bigger than B, or B is bigger than C, for example, right? So for this to work, either this side or this side need to evaluate to true. So in this case, the good example would be if I have true or true, this would evaluate to true, obviously. And if I have false, true, Nora, would this evaluate to, this would evaluate to what? True.
False.
Okay. Andrew, true or false?
True.
Why?
Because one true is enough.
Yeah. For OR operator, only one true is enough to make this whole operation to evaluate to true. So this would evaluate to true. All right, let's try this one, Nora. True or false? True or false?
I guess same logic. If we have one true, then
True.
true.
Great, perfect. And we're gonna ask Janar. false or false. When two falses, it's gonna evaluate to false. Okay, Andrew, what about true and false?
False.
Because
Like, because all expressions supposed to be true.
because we're using and. Okay, now what about this then? False and false.
False.
This is false. Okay, and what about this? Or false and true.
True.
True. Okay, Nora, your turn. False, true, and false.
I guess false.
That would be false because this would evaluate to false, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because this is false, this is gonna be false. So it's not even gonna look here. Okay. For AND operator, only one false is enough to make the whole operation go false. Okay. Jimmer, what about this? False or true or false or true and false. This is gonna evaluate to true. So this is true, right? And this is true. So this whole thing is true, but then we have AND operator and false. So this would evaluate false, right? Okay, great. Okay, these are logical operators. And or. Great. And next we're gonna go with any questions here or no? We're gonna then jump into string operations. You can use either one. Yeah. Let, for example, we're gonna start with school equals text state. Okay. First, let's start with to uppercase method. And I think you guys already know school dot to uppercase and boom. So school is equal to school dot to uppercase. And when I print it out, it's going to school. And if I save this, everything is converted to uppercase. And obviously the same thing will be applied. We can convert the whole thing to lowercase using the lowercase method, right? I don't think I need to show an example for that. Converts, basically converts all characters of a given string to uppercase. And the same thing, but here instead of upper, we're just gonna use lower. Converts all characters of given string to lower case. Okay. Why it keeps. All right. And we have a really nice method that I like, index of. Basically, search returns, and index of characters from a given string. so to say, from let's say let index of letter S school dot index of, and I'm just going to put here uppercase S and console dot log index of letter S, and if I run, it says 4. Why 4? Nora?
So you missed the part. You're asking why 4?
Yeah, why it's
Oh,
returning.
it's because it's S is on force and it's counting from 0, starting from
Yep.
0.
Nice. So in text state, 0, 1, 2, 3. So this is index 4 for letter S. Great, perfect. Okay, I think so. Index of actually takes as a parameter a string or a character. So we could definitely use, for example, instead of just S, I could, let me try with something else, console.log. I'm just going to print it out, school dot index of, and I'm going to pass here TE. Let's see if we save this, it's going to give -1. Why did it give me -1? Index of MDN. Yeah, MDN is our favorite site. Oh, not array. I need to go to the string. Go to an object and string, and index of, I just saw that here. There we go. Let's refer to this documentation. During interviews, they will ask, what are some of the documentation references that you use, resources that you use for, JavaScript, and MDN, which is Mozilla Developer something. MDN stands for. It has really cool documentation here. So index of is a method of string values searches this string and returns the index of the first occurrence of the specified substring. So from this given string, paragraph, so they're searching for dog, and it should return the index of this partial string, substring basically from this given string. And why do you guys think it's returning -1? Oh, who can find it? What's the issue? Why is returning -1?
Because you use the to uppercase method.
Yeah. I was looking at this. TE exists. Why it's returning -1? Do you understand it, Nora? We messed up this part right here. Now it should. What do you guys think it's going to return now?
Seven.
What do you think, Jenner? TE. Nora, what do you think?
Thinking why 7? We are doing the same, right? So t is 0 and 1, so why 7?
Yes, it will return 0. Andrew forgot. Andrew got manipulated by me when I said this part.
Oh, I see. Then yeah.
David, 0. Yes, because it's all converted to uppercase, Andrew, and TE
Oh,
is
yes, yes.
beginning. Yeah. So this is also good because index of return the first matching substring. Yeah, good. All right. The uppercase, lowercase. Oh, substring slice or here. Let me see. Here we have something called slice. So slice method of string values extracts a section of the string and return it as a new string without modifying the original string. This is something new to Java background people, right? Slice.
Yes, it is new.
And we have subster and substring. The substring method of string values returns the part of the string from the start index up to and excluding the end index or to the end of the string if the second index is not provided.
Actually, I remember we do studied the substring as well.
But then what's the difference between slice and substring? Substring, you can give what? Yeah. Like just for substring, you can just give the start index. And by default, it will start from that index, go all the way to the end, str.length. But the slice is the same way. The only thing is, slice the lazy dog. I mean, this is the starting index. Now, here's the interesting part, -4. Let me see, run it. As you can see, it's giving us starting from the end. Run it, starting from the end and giving us dog. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Basically, 4 is getting excluded. So to slice lazy, for example, starting from the negative index 9 to -5, meaning 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's starting from here and 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Starting from here, 5 characters. The second parameter here, yeah, start index and end index returns a new string containing the extracted section. Index, I mean start index and end index. Okay, let's cut this code. I cannot cut this code, that's fine. Let me zoom in here. Okay, so here we have str1, which is the morning is upon us. This is upon or upon? I think it's upon, right? So the length of our string is 23. And we want to slice from 4 to -2. -2 would be 0, 1, 2, which is u, right? And 4 would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this would start morning is upon, and -2 would be 0, 1, 2. So morning is upon you, starting from 4, -2. This is the only difference between substring and slice. Slice can take negative values, but it will start counting from the end. But for substring, we need to do length minus. Remember? You cannot provide negative values. You see, for substring, usually the substring, the second value is, there are multiple different versions, they say. Substring, the second value here, look, the index of first character to exclude from the returning substring. And basically what they say is start from this index and go this many characters. But here you cannot provide a negative value. Let's go with, again, text state. So let tech, we're just going to use the tech, and school dot substring start from index 0 and index of letter S. So this should give me the word tech, right? What do you think? Will this work? I think it works. Let me go ahead and print tech here, because text state is here, but then we converted the whole thing to uppercase. So now it became this. So from here to get tech, I need to start from index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 is not included, okay? Ending index is excluded. Since I already have the index of that letter S stored in the index of letter S variable, I'm using that here as the second argument for substring method. And if I save, as you can see, I have tech. Here, instead, -1, watch. 0. It didn't even print anything. -4. Yeah, if I do slice, let's, yeah, what do you think it's going to print right now with slice? So this is what I have so far, right? So starting from 0, yeah, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I think this is going to print this part, text. What do you guys think, Andrew? What do you think?
I agree with you. It's gonna be text.
Text, right?
Yeah.
T-E-C-H-S. Let's see. There we go. Text. But with substring, we are not able to do that, right? Substring. And it doesn't work. So I'm just going to go ahead and index of letter S, which should give us text. There we go. Okay, we did the partial. Oh, one more thing I want to cover. Right now I have tech only, right? Let full school name, and I'm gonna use tech. And then we have a method concat. yeah, tech dot concat, and this takes the second part. So I'm going to use here the slice. Let state sliced and school dot slice, starting from the index of letter S and yeah, all the way to the end, right? So that should give me state. And now concat method, we already know it's going to basically add two different strings. So state sliced. And that should console.log full school name. And if I save, now I get text state. Do we have any questions on this part of the code? Okay, Andrew, what do I have in here? If I print out state sliced, what am I going to see?
You will get part with tech.
State sliced is
State?
gonna, yeah. So slice starting from,
Oh, then state.
yeah, index of letter S, right? There we go.
I didn't get how you again having like tech state where you're adding tech in concat, but I
Yep.
don't see that part like tech itself. Oh, here. Okay.
Yeah. Tech. So far, where I use substring, I have only tech. And then state sliced is the argument that I'm passing into the concat method, which has state. So together, combined, I'm saving it into the full school name, which is giving me tech state. Okay, good. We covered index of, substring, slice. Oh, starts with, and also, oh, includes. This is going to be very important because I want to make sure that, you know, you guys can actually manipulate or do some string problem solving questions using. We covered if else statements. We are gonna work with includes. Includes basically the method of string values performs a case sensitive search to determine whether a given string may be found within the string, returning true or false as appropriate. Okay. What does it mean? It basically is going to search for a string from a given string, combination of consecutive characters. And if it contains it, returns true. What else we could? In Java, we have contains, yeah, which would be alternative to this. You know, char add, right? Okay. Chart basically returns it's a method of string values, returns a new string consisting of the single code unit at the given index. Chart always indexes the string as a sequence of UTF-16 code units, so it may return lone surrogates to get the full Unicode code point at the given index use. That's and it says 0 based index. Okay, dot length we know. Let school length is gonna be equal to school dot length log, oops, log school length, and it should return. What's the issue? Oh, length. Sorry. Here we go. It returns 9. Length is not a method. It is, there we go. Length, it's a data property of a string value that contains the length of the string. Property, do you guys remember properties from instance methods or instance variables? Instance variables in Java are the variables in a class. And this length is a property of a string class in JavaScript, where it automatically gets assigned, like as soon as you create an object, like a variable for a string, it will take the length automatically and initialize this length variable. So it's not a method. It's like in Java, for array, we have length variable, yeah, property. It's not a method. Same thing here. So length returns the length. Okay. Now I have this task for you guys. The task is to you have a welcome message equals welcome to Tech State Academy. So first task is use all these methods that we have just learned. First of all, for example, return me the index of welcome, right? Return the index of welcome. And secondly, divide the string from the middle. So if the length is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. So if it's 29, go, for example, to the middle like this. Print me, welcome to tech. Print the half of the string. I don't know if this is going to be the half or this is going to be the like, I don't know what's the first half. Basically, print the first half of the string, and as a hint, I would use length property. Okay. Number 3, convert second half of the string to lowercase and store it in a variable. Number 4, if I give you uppercase part, we didn't cover the loops, so that would be a little bit challenging. Use slice method to get the academy part of the string. Okay, this is the task. Give you 7 minutes should be enough. I want to cover too much, but I want to stick to mainly string for now. And in Java, we have replace method. Same thing here. We have replace and you have replace all. I think in Java, there's only replace, right? There's no replace all. So basically with replace and replace all, let's say if this is the given string that we have, I think Ruth's dog is cuter than your dog. And we have paragraph dot replace Ruth's with my. Basically, they're gonna replace this part of the given string with this my. I think my dog is cuter than your dog. That's one. Number two, replace all. So this, for example, if you were to, instead of this, put here uh, dog to, for example, rabbit. And if we run, as you can see, I think Ruth's rabbit is cuter than your dog. So even though we're trying to replace the dog with rabbit, it's only replacing the first instance. It's not replacing the second one. So if you do replace all, then in this case, if you, for example, try to replace dog, it will replace dog with monkey. Then it is going to replace all the instances of dog. So first instance, second instance. So it will go ahead and replace both of these with monkey. And run, as you can see, so instead of this, text state has different colors. Text state has big office. And I tried to replace text state with academy, replace all, then it's going to work with, there you go. Now, both text state instances have been replaced by academy. Academy has different colors. Academy has big office. This split, split basically, we haven't covered the arrays yet, but I'm gonna go ahead and mention about this. So when we cover the arrays, we're gonna be using this. Split method of string values takes a pattern and divides the string into an ordered list of substrings by searching for pattern. Like any pattern that we pass as an argument, it is going to use that to split into different parts, puts these substrings into an array and returns the array. So here, for example, if I just print this out and so I have here, the quick box jumps over the lazy dog and I say split with what? Empty space. Basically, we call this white space. Split with white space. So then it's going to return into the words, which is an array, the quick, like each of these space separated will be an element from the given array. So if I run, as you can see, now it converted it to an array of words, meaning strings, by separating them using this separator, or we also call it a divider. Cool. If I was to, for example, here have like this guy as a separator, then I could use that as a separator. Then I would have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 elements only. Let's run it. Invalid unexpected token. Ooh, because it's gonna use it as an escape literal. Who remembers escape literal? Escape literals are, yeah, this. A character escape represents a character that may not be able to be conveniently represented in its literal form. So it's taking that as an escape literal. In order to avoid this, I think we need to put double escape character, which is the backslash, and I would need to put here this and this. Just one. No, come on. Escape literal, why is it trying to escape? That's fine. I will just go ahead and use pipe for now, if that's okay with you guys. And instead of this, I'm gonna use pipe. And let's run this code. Now, as you can see, the quick brown fox, but then the rest of them is one element from this given string. We'll get to the arrays again. Starts with, it also works just like in Java, basically. Starts with method, determines whether the string begins with the character of a specified string. And if it returns true. If it does, then false if it doesn't. So given our string Saturday night plans, does this string start with sat? Correct. And the second one is, does the string start with sat at index 3? No. 0, 1, 2, 3. So it's saying this part right here. Is it equal to sat? Nope. Position, true, false. There we go. If this is our given string, I can copy this, bring it here. Let me add and word. Okay. Did you guys see how I did it? Look at this. I'm gonna try to change this word, okay? You see, right now I'm selecting only one, right? Word. I want to change word, all these words. I want to change this to, for example, paragraph. So in order to select all the places where I have word, what comes after this line, line 105, this is what I can do. I can select word, double click on it, and then Command D. See, it selected all the word at once. And I can just change it, and now I can type it as paragraph. There we go. And it should work as expected. True, false, true. Now we're basically saying to be or not to be, that is the question. And starts with is it case sensitive. To be, it's gonna return true because that's the word that we're starting with. Not to be, which is here, it's not starting with that. And not to be at position 10. Is that correct? Let's go. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So, oops, at index 10, we're starting, we have not to be, which is this guy here. Good. And the same thing here, we can work with the opposite of the same thing is going to be paragraph and ends with the question. Is it gonna return true or false? This should return true if I save it. There we go. Does it end with the question? There you go. Does it end with the question? It says true, which is this guy here. All right, and one more thing I want to mention here. With JavaScript, string doesn't have to be in the double quotes. We can store string in a single quotes also. So for example, let student name equals Andrew. So I'm just gonna go ahead and use single quotes here. See, this is also okay. So if I was to, for example, console.log student.length, student name.length, if I save it, as you can see, it prints out 6 because the length here is equal to 6, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What? I started with 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good. I'm sorry? Yeah. Oh, it automatically did it by itself. Sorry. But of course, best practices is to keep it in the double quote. But you can, however, store strings in a single quote in JavaScript. That's not going to be an issue. A lot of people prefer, for example, in Java, this is what we had, right? If you have a string word and you wanted to save, for example, motto. Let's say our motto is never give up, let's say, right? This would be an error. Why? Because you are trying to insert double quotes inside a string. So it would just take this part as a string. And obviously compile time error would detect it. So you would need to use escape literals, right? This guy right here. And do the same here. And right before this one, put an escape literal. That way you could actually keep this inside this given string. In JavaScript, the same thing can be used with the help of, so I'll just put here let or const, whichever I want. And instead of this, I could use, for example, replace it with single quote and double quote and double quote and then single quote here. See, this would not be an issue. In fact, let's go ahead and uncomment this. And that way, console.log, and I say word, motto, and save this, and boom, see, never give up. And this part actually is wrapped in the double quotes. And in this case, single quotes are very helpful. We can, if no questions, we can wrap it up here, guys, okay?